Hello everyone, and welcome to this video, the 11th in a series of such videos. It contains a number of sentences in everyday use that have been translated into their Old English equivalents. I'll also mark the words in their appropriate case. So I'll use a colour system for that, which I've done in the past videos. You'll be familiar with that. The only difference with this video is I'm also appearing through my webcam here. I'll be able to move this about the screen a little bit. But if it's too distracting, please let me know in the comments section, and what I can do is not include it in some videos or restrict its use if it's going to distract you from the content of this video. So let me know. I'll be curious to see what people think. All right. All right, so I've shown you the screen before. I just want to remind you the subject is the who or what is completing the action of the sentence. That'll be in red. The verb, the action being performed, that'll be in black and bold. Direct object, that'll be in blue, that's the accusative, that's who or what is connected with the action of the verb, and the indirect object, that'll be in green, that's to who or what is the action done for. That's in green, as I said. The genitive case, the possessive, is in purple. All right, so John, the subject, kicked the football, the ball is a direct object, the accusative. To Sarah, Sarah's the indirect object, and in green. I've used this example before. Let me just move that picture. I drive my wife in the morning with the car to work because of the rain. Ik derive mijn wife van morgen met wijn go in werken for them of them rene. All right, so I, the subject, first person singular verb, derive, to drive, mean, genitive, wife, my wife, the accusative, the object that is the direct recipient of the action of the verb. And then the reason it's done for, or for whom it's done for, is in the dative, that's here in green. And we can have a list of datives here connected by these prepositions and also by this subordinating conjunction. So the morning, I drive my wife in the morning, or I drive my wife with the car, or I drive my wife to work, or I drive my wife because of the rain. I've covered this with you before, so I won't go into it anymore. Let's move on to some examples. All right. Hopefully that's all right there. I was able to create a delicious dish, although the recipe seemed complicated, with careful attention to each step. Okay, so what we have is one primary clause. I was able to create a delicious dish with careful attention to each step. And then we have a subordinate clause, which is adding extra information, although the recipe seemed complicated. Okay, now, I was able to create a delicious dish with careful attention to each step can stand as an independent clause. It can stand on its own as a complete sentence. Okay, whereas the subordinate clause here, although the recipe seemed complicated, is not complete. Okay, can't stand on its own as an independent sentence. Anyway, let's have a look here. In Old English, we can translate this to ich was smatchenlich mal gedaan, or you could use je woordchen machen. Zeg that word folder was doorgte met verstandelijk to alchem stappen per yearman. Okay, the subordinating conjunction, though, although, is theoc, and that fits in there. Notice I'm the subject there, smatchenlich, right? I was created delicious dish, delicious meal, mal is meal, smatchenlich is delicious. Okay, that is the direct object. They're in the accusative. Okay, Udon is to do, done, and Wurchan is to create. So both Udon and Wurchan. I've given you two verbs there. You only need one. I've just given you a choice. That's all. Means to create. Was is was. Able to is machen. So that's the second verb. So that becomes, it goes to the end of our clause here. Machen. Okay, goes to the end of our clause, machen. And then to create is either Yadon or Yaworchan, whichever one you want to use. Okay, and that goes in the infinitive in the second place. Machen is also in the infinitive. The conjugated verb, okay, first person singular, is was. Ich was smatchenlich mal. Okay. Another thing we could do now is, I'll move this picture again. Another thing we could do is rearrange that a bit and take the subordinate clause and stick it out front. When I take the entire subordinate clause, stick it out front, we then come back here to another second clause here, and then finally the first part here. All right, so although the recipe seemed complicated, with careful attention to each step, I was able to create a delicious dish. Well, we could render that as Theag that rutfolder ervotha thurchte mit fara thanklich to alchemstaper beierman was each smatch and lich mal you don't wora chalmachen. When I rearrange that, notice this. Because this clause here has gone from first place to second or last place, I have to swap the order. This now becomes a subordinate clause, if you like. Not subordinate clause, but in attaching it differently, I have to swap the order of the verb. So instead of ich was, I now have was ich. This was the independent clause up here. Okay, and when I remove it from its primary location, attach it to another clause, I have to swap the order of the verb and the subject. It becomes wasich, this, and all the rest. Okay, one more example down here. We have, although the recipe seemed complicated, I was able to create a delicious dish with careful attention to each step. So again, the subordinate clause comes first. Theag that word for the ervotha thurchte, comma, was ich smatchenlich mal mit faratan klichum to alchemstaper bejemen, you don, you worchan, whichever one you want, machan. All right. So here I've got the subordinate clause, and don't forget with subordinate clauses, with a subordinate clause, all the verbs go to the end. So the only verb appearing here is thurchte, which is seemed, and that goes to the end. Now, instead of having ich was in the primary main clause, independent clause, instead of was ich, I have to swap that order because I've now moved it from the primary clause from its primary place, and I've now put it in a secondary place there. I put the independent clause in the front. So that necessitates a change between the subject and the first verb. Okay, just be aware of that. Then all the other verbs go to the end. All right, so careful attention is beyeman. So here I want to say, was I delicious meal with attention, with a careful attention to each step. Attention to each step, careful attention here, made, makan, able to create, okay, and so on, delicious dish, smatch and lich. All right, all these verbs are just coming to the end here. Alchemstaper is each step, and with careful attention to each step is Alchemstaper, and with careful and then bejemen is attention. Okay, let's look at some more examples that'll fit in there. Right, worthy is it that your people of the present day, before and after, should hold you in high esteem among themselves. Now, I picked this up from somewhere from one of my Old English texts. I can't remember where I got it from, but that can be written, where hit is thin leader thus and where dan dias are and after here they on here hum je achlan betwech here sulvus a hebben shula. Okay, and notice here, worthy it is the subject. Okay, worthy it is the subject, is the verb, your people, leader, people, and all that here is the accusative, is your people, of the present day. So this is now in the genitive. It's of the present day. It belongs. It's a property of the present day. Thus and werden dies. is in the genitive. All right. Before, ar, and after, of course, after. They is the subject. Who, they, who onheerchum, so high esteem among themselves, raise should, and shula here is in the subjunctive because it's not a statement of fact, it's an expression of a desire or wish. So the conjugated verb here, should, is should here, becomes shula. Aheben is to hold you, raise you up, and then esteem is your achlam. Betwich hira solvis, which is in the genitive. Another thing I picked up from one of my texts somewhere is he sheldon thonolovsang singan and seithe hit farasawa shelda hit yebeten. Okay, so we've got this part here, then a subordinate, not a subordinate, this is a coordinating conjunction. So this clause, coordinating conjunctions join clauses of the same grammatical weight, same grammatical value. So this is an independent clause, this is an independent clause, and then this is a subordinate clause here. Even though the verb's first, and you notice in the subordinate clause the verbs had to go first. So you have the previous clause verb ending there, comma, begins with a verb, and then hit your beten. Otherwise, what you would have had is you would have had hit shelter your beten. All right, but because it's now been attached to the end, it has to have forsawa, barasawa, comma, shelter. Okay, they should sing the hymn, and whoever neglected it should make amends for it. Okay, so these two examples come from texts I have. Now this one comes from Bosworth Toller. You can find this reference here. Ac theag thu nu fiar sia thona thu wara ne erd thu theag elis of tham erde at the riven. Notice here, same thing. You have a clause here, comma, and then instead of the verb being in the second place, because this clause has been attached to the end, you must then have comma, and thu and ne have to swap places. Okay, I'll show you the other way in a minute. So with this clause coming second, okay, you now have to swap the order. You're joining it to another clause separated by a comma, so you have to have wara, comma, ne not wara, comma, thu ne Okay, so just aware of that. This is a subordinate clause. The verb is going in here. Generally, with subordinate clauses, the verb should go to the end, where you join things that are maybe not subordinate clauses. I think in this case is what's happening here. You've got uk, theag, but although, as a conjunction, then thona is a conjunction, and then you have a very short clause here, thu wara, okay, and then you're going to join that to something else. So when you do that, you can't just join thu ne you've got to swap the verb and the subject. But although you are now far away from where you were, you are not entirely driven from that land. Now, rearranging that, let's just say we want to take this clause here, put it out front, and have ak theag back where it should be as a subordinate clause, ak theag. Then you would write thu ne theag elis of tham erde adriven. Ak theag thu nu fiar sia thona thu ware, comma, and then whatever comes next. Notice here, thu came first. This is the primary clause now, and a subordinating clause is added to it, ak theag. Ak on its own is a coordinating conjunction. It is not a subordinating one. It is ak theag together, because theag is a subordinating conjunction, but together the thing acts as a subordinating conjunction. So ak theag thu nu fiar sia thona. And here nu is an adverb, fiar is an adjective, that's distance, far off, and sia is be. It's one of the to be verbs. It's present tense singular. All right, of Wesen. Okay, you are not entirely driven from that land. even though you are now far away from it. Okay, so there's the difference. Notice here, it's just swapping the order of ne er thu ne er. Okay, better keep going. All right, another example from a text somewhere. Swa michten tha ultere theathar feolon don. If he woldon, so might also the others have done who there had fallen if they had been willing. Okay, the others there. Fa is an indicator of you have the nominative there. Fa ultere, which is also nominative, so that tells story. Eg is others, okay, as might or so might also the others who there fallen have done fallen. Okay, here notice so might also the others have done who there had fallen, and then so the first verb you have there is done, have done. So don goes there on the end, and then might is the first verb. Sorry, and it goes up here in the second location as it normally should. So might, swa michton. Then your next verb is done, past tense of done's, don. What happens now because it's at the end of the clause? It's just the infinitive, don. And then also fallen is just also fail on there. Okay, now that is conjugated, but anyway, that is conjugated there. It's not an an ending, but that is conjugated for had fallen past tense, plural past tense. You might have expected. Actually, now I think about it, don here is also the past participle. Sorry, my fault. It's not the infinitive, but that's the past participle. But that's also conjugated as well when you might have expected it to be the infinitive. And then if he woldon, if is a subordinating conjunction, and he woldon, verbs go to the end for subordinating conjunctions. Let's have a look at another example now. Plas eldor manus dochtor. Laie at farasida and sefeder jelatede thona Haaland thar to. Farthanthe he was on tham temen thar on neowiste. Okay, the alderman's daughter lay at the point of death, and the father called Jesus there too, because he was at that time there in the neighborhood. Okay. So you have a primary clause here, the alderman's daughter lay at the point of death, and the father called Jesus there too, and it's a coordinating conjunction, so the father called Jesus there too is a clause of equal grammatical weight to the first one here. It's a primary clause, just like this one, but because here is a subordinating conjunction, so this adds a bit of extra information, but it's not something that can stand on its own as a sentence. So Farthanthe is the subordinating conjunction here for because, one version of it. He was on tham temen thar on neowista. Okay, I think I've got that. Yeah, I mean, there are rules. You can see general pattern subordinating clauses have all the verbs at the end, but it doesn't always quite happen that way. I've got this one here from an Old English text, but the general pattern is you have here in this case you can have instead of the nominative you've got the genitive here, but it makes for the subject. Lie is the verb, it's in position 2, so this is, if you like, the subject in the genitive. Lie is in the second position, the verb is in the second position, and then you have the nominative. Okay, then here you have the subject as you expect, yelatede, which is a verb. I forgot to bold that, but anyway. The saviour, and then tharto is a preposition. Okay, preposition adverb. And then you have the rest. All right, let's move on. All right. Se halthe je moter offerath bigangas forthinam halthe michte, however thu eret nieuwe komen of the forrodum plegere. That's plegere, unless it has a dot above the Y, above the G, which it doesn't in this case here. The fitness centre offers workouts tailored to your fitness level, whether you are a newcomer or an experienced athlete. Okay. First part can stand. First part of the clause there. First clause can stand on its own as an independent sentence. The fitness centre offers workouts tailored to your fitness level. Full stop. Here, a bit of a subordinate clause is added to give you a bit of extra information whether you're a newcomer or an experienced athlete, which can't stand on its own as an independent sentence. It's a subordinate clause. So you have the subject. So halfa yamotern, the fitness centre, offereth, that's plural. Bigungas, right? Workouts for your fitness ability, might, capacity, whether you are new or experienced athlete. Okay. Now let's rearrange that now and stick the subordinate clause out front. Hawara thu new kommen offer forrodum plechere. Offereth se halthe jemotern bigangas forthinum halthe michte. Notice here, se halthe jemoten then offereth, but when this leading primary clause became the second, when the subordinate clause was placed out front in order to emphasize the fact that whether you're a newcomer or an experienced athlete, all this can happen. You want to emphasize that fact that you put this out front, this secondary clause here, you put it out front because you want to emphasize the fact that whether someone's a newcomer or an experienced athlete, this applies for them. What follows applies for them. And that's all. By placing it out front, you're just emphasizing that. That's all you're doing. But when you do that, you have to swap the nominative subject here with the conjugative verb. So the conjugative verb goes first, then the subject in the nominative. Okay, so whether you're a beginner or an experienced athlete, you just want to emphasize that point. The fitness center offers programs tailored to your fitness level. All right, let's move on a bit. Did I go too far? No, I didn't. Okay, seo neo were you? Ni weu, seo ni weu, nea la kunge, a ladeth, latemest wurktan, quaemnessa, betan, and the wastum barnessa, theag tha forumen taweanas was. The new policy eventually led to improved employee satisfaction and productivity despite the initial skepticism. Some of these sentences, as you gather, were a bit challenging to translate from modern English into Old English. So words, for instance, that didn't exist in the Old English time, like fitness centre on the previous slide and all the rest of it, I've had to do the best I can with the dictionaries available, make combinations of things, all right? Despite the initial skepticism, that wasn't too bad after a bit of playing around, the initial skepticism. How do you know when to include tha and things like that? Well, if in modern English you use the demonstrative tha, that's probably an indication that it's that noun you want to use. And so you would in Old English do the same as well. It's generally as a guide. If you're using a demonstrative in modern English, you're going to use that in Old English as well. So in this case, the sale, niweu, the new niweu, new policy, nealatkung, aladeth or led to improved employee satisfaction. So that was a bit of fun. That was satisfaction and worktan, a worker satisfaction type thing, employee. And wasam varnessa, productivity, fruitfulness, if you like, here. Okay, let's change that around. Now let's take the subordinate clause and stick it out front. Notice here you've got the subordinating conjunction theik, and the only verb that's in the subordinate clause is right at the very end. All right, so you have despite the initial skepticism. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So if I'm going to put that out front here, I have thechtha forum tuenas was. And now here, I've got to swap a ladeth and the subject. A ladeth goes here, and the subject seoniweu nea la kung goes second. These verb, comma, verb. And then all the rest follows. All right, whereas in modern English, we just simply rearrange the order and we don't make any other changes. but in Old English you do. All right, let's have a look at the next one. All right, swatha tharacha yewendath thatarewa derechath ana arapun ye niemenda nusa geapa leaflicher yefachadon iowende. So I had a bit of fun with that. As the seasons change, the trees undergo a breathtaking transformation, displaying a spectrum of vibrant colours. Yes, I was having a lot of fun with this. As the seasons change, the trees undergo a breathtaking combination of two words here, arapunge and nimenda nusa, breathtaking transformation, nusa being the transformation. So that was fun. Displaying Iowenda, spectrum of vibrant colours. Geapa leaf leacher, Yafachadan. Yeah, good fun with that one. All right, so it was a matter of playing around a bit. Some of these took me a little while to translate them. Now, same thing again, if we want to take the subordinate clause and stick it out front because we want to emphasize this displaying a spectrum of vibrant colors, then we could say, is that done? Here it is. Yeah, sorry, this part here, I'm going to put this second subordinate clause here towards the front. So, tha tareo darechat ana arpunga niemenda, sorry, nusa swatha tharacha yowenda gepa leafliche yafachadan yowenda. Okay, the trees undergo a breathtaking transformation as the seasons change, displaying a spectrum of vibrant colours. I didn't rearrange that, did I? Ooh. Yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, sorry. Look carefully, Rob. Make sure you're commenting accurately. Okay, so the trees undergo, and so on. Just notice here, was there anything I had to point out here? I can't. No, I didn't see anything. Okay, that's all right. Not to worry. All right, next one. Now, hey, now as Tarutha, Saturath, Ervarthne, Werk lief, Ak Achnath, Tide, to werke on hisje manshippers Farthien. Okay, he not only manages a demanding career but also dedicates time to volunteer work in his community. So he not only manages, also demanding, difficult work life, but also dedicates time to work in his community. Okay. Now here you've got he not only manages, he ne'er asturath ek, but also ervothne werklief. Okay. You can see here. Now, what else is my next one? My next one is Seo Yemeting Tade Barade Kustia Yehuda Technology Wizan Foldan Haltha and Veremednessa Volker. I couldn't find a word for technology. Look as I might through my dictionaries and so on, I couldn't find it. So I've just used a modern English word. Sometimes that's just going to be necessary. If anybody else can find a suitable word, please put it in the comment section below. I'd appreciate that. The conference, your meeting, covered a wide range of topics. Barad Kustia Yehuda, Barade Kustia Yehuda. Okay, a broad range of topics. Including also technology, trends, wisdom, patterns, Foldan Haltha, environmental sustainability, and Veremednessa Volker. So well-being of the people. And notice the Volker here is in the genitive. So you can translate as well-being of the people. Okay, and that's plural, genitive, plural for folk. people. Perhaps a more literal translation is the meeting considered a wide range of thoughtful ideas, including technological advancements, hence reason is trends and so on, environmental sustainability, Bolden Haltha, the earth health, and the well-being of the people, Faramidnesa Volka. All right, and that's how you put those together. So subject, conjugated verb, direct object here, which is a wide range of topics, and that's in the accusative, and then comma, also technology trends. The trends there is in the accusative because it's covered. See, this meeting has covered this, it's covered this, it's covered this, it's covered this, and hence they're all in the accusative because they're all direct objects of this verb, covered. All right, let's move on. There songspel ut bekupan was ich saliner that ich ende mesner beruchten karten miracles on minen findan. This one, miracles, I picked this one up from Bosworth Toller, as I do quite a few words, and it may be a C dot, it may be miracles. I've got it here as miracles because it's the best I can find. Bosworth Toller doesn't use the C and G dots, it doesn't palatalize the C's and the G's, so that could be a C dot. Okay, although even though the concert was sold out, I was fortunate to find a last minute ticket online. All right, so even though the concert, say Song-Sepel, I like that, Song News, concert, wow. Anyway, it's the best I could find. Out bekupan was. Okay, so out is an adverb, it's modifying this sold out, sold, was. Okay, so subordinate clause, so all the verbs have gone to the end. Was is the first verb, it goes to the end in its conjugated form, and bekupan is sold, and then modified by ut is out, so outsold was. The concert outsold was. Was ich, I was fortunate, fortunate, that I last minute ticket I could find, Findan, goes to the end in its infinitive form. Findan ende mesne beruchtem Carton Mitchells, all right? I was fortunate to find a last minute ticket online. Wow, some playing around with these, looking far and wide for this. Some of these sentences took a while to translate. Okay, let's move on a bit because I'm wary of time. After Mitchell je thoughton, je korum way aan satarate fora to tham muntum nimmen and at setel under thalecht of them tungelum. Okay, so after much deliberation, thinking, we decided to take a road trip to the mountains. Take is niman, so Yukuron decided to take is niman, so it goes in the infinitive form. Okay, so chose we a road trip to the mountain to take, and then here is a coordinating conjunction and then a clause of equal grammatical weight. That is an independent clause in this case, is added on the end. So at Satal and camp under the starlit light of the stars, camp under the light of the stars. Okay, so here, after much deliberation, here, that's a verb. It's at the end, of course, as it is in modern English here. Decided we, road trip and so on to the mountains to take. Now, decided to take, or we decided to take, is how we'd say it if it was a clause in its own right. Okay, here the first verb, decided, is in its conjugated form and goes into the first place here. then the subject, because we've placed this subordinate clause out front, so the subject and the verb swap place, as I've been mentioning throughout this video. And then the second verb must go to the end of the clause in its infinitive form, niman. Okay, now just I went to ChatGPT to get its response. It's got, I gave it this sentence here, the modern English sentence, and it produced this. After Mitchell Yathochton, we Yakuron to Niman Anas Darat, we to Tham Muntum, and Campion under Thaleocht of Tham Tunglum. Campion there, you've got to be just aware of ChatGPT can make words up that it thinks are reasonable. I couldn't find Campion in the dictionary, so I didn't use it in my version here. Okay. It also did not, after the comma, swap Yakuron with way. Okay. Maybe it's not necessary. Maybe that's okay. I did ask ChatGPT to render it into early West Saxon dialect, and this is what it gave me back. So always check everything you do with ChatGPT or any of the AI. Always check the answers that you're given, always. All right, let's have a look at another one now. We've got Hwada Hitis Gadarunga Heer, Other Gadarunga Unheer, Yawada Heo Simla Heerlicha, and Ashinath Balde. Okay, whether it's a formal event or a casual gathering, she always dresses impeccably and exudes confidence. And this took me a while to translate as well. So author is a coordinating conjunction. It joins clauses of equal grammatical weight or value. So whether it is a formal event, gadarungaheg, you can imagine a high gathering if you like, gathering high, a high level gathering, or gadarunga unheg, this is how I ready it, had to resort to high and unhigh to give a sense of a high gathering and a low gathering. All right? Formal event is a high gathering, casual gathering is a low gathering, low event. You know, that's how I had to render it anyway. And then here, she always dresses. So Yawadeth heo, similar as an adverb, meaning always. Healicha, impeccably, if you like, and coordinating conjunction, shines confidence, balda, confidence. Right? Ashineth shines confidently, confident. Okay, exudes confidence. Ashineth, to shine or exude. Balda is confidence. Okay, so let's do a little bit of rearranging here. What have we got? Hawada hit is gadarunga stien. This is another version. Otha gadarunga unsatien. Yawada theo simla herlicha and ashineth balda. Stien, past participle of verb implying ascent, to go from a lower to a higher level, to ascend, to mount. So again, that thing of hek, high. So gadarunga satien or gadarunga unsatien. Okay. Same thing again. Just use the past participle of that verb implying assent. Okay, she always dresses impeccably and exudes confidence, whether it's a formal event or a casual gathering. Heyawadeth, Heoyawadeth, Simla Healicha, and Ashinath Balda, Hawadeh, hit is Gadarunga Heek, Otha Gadarunga Unheek. Okay, that's putting the subordinate clause back in its secondary place. Okay, where you might normally expect it. So, Heoyawadeth, Simla Healicha and Ashina Balda. Those two clauses there, independent clauses, you could keep. You'd expect them to be at the front, and then Hawatha, this subordinate clause, adding some extra information. Okay, and there's two more here actually because author is also joining another one. Okay, that's how you play around. It gives you some idea of how things work. All right, what else have I got here now? Okay, one last one. Theach sewana theos yukoron se je bedshipper tawean ver hiare eldam husa, niwien sepended bet thona niwene an je boeiende. Okay, it took me a while to translate this one as well. Despite the financial constraints. There, despite, although, despite the financial constraints. Okay. decided the couple, your bedshipper, like friendship, marital, cohabiting couple, two of them to weigh in. So the cohabiting couple, the two cohabiting couple, money, their eldem husa, Nevian spended, so that's renovating their old house, better than purchasing a new one. All right. So decide to spend the money in renovating the old house rather than purchasing a new one. So better than new purchase. Okay, bit of fun that one doing that. This picture down here I got from AI, Bing AI, and I asked it to generate an image of an Anglo-Saxon village scene from the 5th century. And it gave me this among others. I had a few turns at it, had a bit of a go, I had a few choices, but it generated that nice image. Let's have a look at one more before we finish. Final one, also from AI, Bing AI, and it generated this one here. I'm going to move that out of the way if I can. It generated this one here. Not bad. I thought it was quite good, but nice to include in the video. And that's it. I hope I've been clear today. I hope including myself in the video here has not caused anybody any difficulties in understanding what I'm trying to say, or it wasn't distracting people in any way, I hope. Just let me know in the comments if it was or it wasn't. I'd be interested to hear what you say. I may include this in future videos, I may not. Generally, I don't appear in the videos because I don't want to add to the burden of learning. I think people are programmed to look at faces and to interpret faces. And I think if you're busy interpreting my face instead of reading the text and listening to what's being pointed out, I would then become a source of distraction to the learning. So I suppose you could call this cognitive load theory, where I want to reduce the cognitive load as much as possible to make the tasks that you're learning here as simple as possible and as easy to grasp as possible. So I don't want to be a distraction to that end. So my argument here for not including myself in previous videos is that of minimizing the cognitive load. Okay, I hope those worked out though. Let me know what you think in the comments below, please. Thank you again for paying attention. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video in which I'll do a children's short story. Okay, bye everyone.